Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Welcome to Protect and Grow with Chicagoland Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns of TJ Stearns Incorporated.
Giving us a common sense approach to our money, our investments,
TJ
our
Stearns
financial
Incorporated
decision
focuses
making.
on comprehensive financial planning and benefits.
More well-informed decisions with our money and help uncomplicate this financial world. Tim, no small tasks, so we always appreciate your perspective in providing guidance.
Peter, it's good to be here, and I'm glad to talk about the three biggest retirement expenses and how to plan to control them in your retirement.
Well, it's important, Tim. I mean, during our working career, most expenses are covered by a pretty simple income plan. Show up to work. We set our alarm, we get up, we go in, we punch in, we put in our time, we put in our sweat equity, we trade our time for money. And that really accounts for the majority, if not all, of the expenses that we have, including making those retirement investments so that one day, hopefully, we can stop making that trade. But in retirement, it's really a very different story. We've got to plan and prepare for these expenses from our assets. We've got a finite amount of money. We've got to make it last. So I think this resource, this report that you have of the three biggest expenses in retirement and how to plan to control them, a pretty valuable think piece to get people's thoughts going in the right direction on how to plan and prepare for retirement's greatest expenses.
Well, one of the things we talk about in our seminars and of course in our retirement classes is what is your biggest expense? And a lot of people say, health insurance, that type of thing. But in fact, it's actually taxes. All right. I mean, most people, the biggest asset they have besides their house is a 401k, especially for the baby boomers out there. They were, introduced to a thing called a 401k in the 70s, and that's where they've put their money their whole lives. And now they're going into retirement and they're going to have to start to take money out that the IRS has never taxed. So that is going to be their biggest expense. And how to get through that is, requires, in my mind, a written income plan so you know exactly what you're working with.
Well, I think it's a big concern for a lot of people right now as well. They're looking at the tax landscape and forecasts for what the future for taxation looks like with a due amount of concern, justified concern for how much of our money are we actually going to get to keep, and then how far can we make those dollars stretch? Adding it all up, retirement's going to be very expensive. So if we can identify and plan for at least these top three expenses that we're going to be talking about today, including taxes, well, then we can help to make our money last a little longer, or at least plan and prepare for how much we need to dedicate to certain large line items in the budget for retirement. And if you'd like this list, ladies and gentlemen, or if you would like to formulate your own individual solution to how to address these three largest expenses in retirement, that comes down to having that written retirement income plan. That is the specific plan for how your assets help you to cover and address expenses. And most of us have an investment plan, but unfortunately, actually very few of us, even transitioning into or already in retirement, have a specific written retirement income plan. Good news for you is that Tim Stearns CFP does make an offer through this program to help you put that together. No cost, no obligation. If you would like that detailed forensic financial analysis and that retirement income plan in writing through a complimentary strategy session, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, I like the way it's put in this report. The only way to combat the possibility of expenses potentially catastrophically exceeding assets and income producing ability is to have that written retirement income plan.
Right. It's proven that, 1 out of 10 Americans don't have a written income plan. So when people come in to talk to us and we get down to, brass tacks, as they say, and get into the minutia, we ask them, how much do you need to live on for the year? And they'll tell us, and I'll ask them, is that a net number or is that a gross number? And they'll say, well, what do you mean? And I'll say, well, exactly what I'm talking about is that if it's an IRA, taxes haven't been taken into account there. So we need to make sure that we understand that about, anywhere from 20 to 30%, depending on how much money they need, will be taxed. So if you think you're going to get $100,000, you're going to get 80 to, maybe $70,000, depending. So, that's what comes into an income allocation plan. And it tells us exactly how the vision of our retirement looks.
And taxes do not stop in retirement. Tim, you alluded to it. The way that the baby boomer generation on whole has been taught to invest for retirement has really set us up to be in the highest potential tax environment when we're in retirement. And we have some ways to control that, and we need to identify those through the written retirement income plan.
Right. And not only that, but if you're, in your early 60s, maybe this is a time to be doing some Roth conversions and that type of thing. We know what taxes are today. They're the lowest they've been in over 60 years. So maybe that is the time to do it. If you're still earning, you and your spouse are still earning, six-figure salaries, maybe now is not the time. But if you're about to do that, the average male, they say, will live to be 85 years old. And the average female, 88 years old, according to Social Security, SSA.gov. So why not maybe look at some Roth conversions to kind of start to bite on that huge apple of taxes that you have?
Tim, Roth conversions are something that is going to require that we do proactively pay some taxes. But what we know about tax in general is that it's pay me now or pay me later with those retirement accounts. And we know what tax rates are now. We don't know what they may be later, but you can quantify what the potential cost and potential benefit for considering Roth conversions may be and help people determine how much is appropriate there.
Right. So, luckily we have a certified public accountant on staff, and Joe helps all of our clients figure out what that tax bill looks like. It sometimes behooves people to do it now, and sometimes it might behoove them to do it later. But at the end of the day, the largest asset most baby boomers have is their 401ks. And we've been taught to, not pay on the seed of taxes, but rather on the crop, which is kind of, nowadays backwards, right? We're telling our younger youth of America, do the Roth 401ks and that type of thing. When it was beaten into our heads, I'm 50 years old. My parents always told me to do a 401k, get the match and all that good stuff. And everyone's been taught that for years and years. But now we're starting to realize, as the roosters come home to roost, that taxes are low right now. So maybe now is the time to do some Roth conversions.
And Tim, due to the nature of our progressive tax system, the higher the income that we have, the more net worth that we've been able to accumulate. In all likelihood, the more costly an issue this is to overlook and to continue not to address.
Right. Now is the time to definitely look into that. When you know what taxes are, they have talked about moving taxes up. Let's give a little history lesson here. They're supposed to move taxes in 2025 back to their old rates. So the 12 becomes a 15%, 15% becomes 18%, and so on and so forth. So what I'm telling people is, hopefully they do it at the beginning of the year, but back when Clinton was in office, they did it retro to the beginning of the year. With Obama, when they raised taxes, they did it for the next year. So if I know what I can accentuate the taxes are this year, right now in 2022, might be the time to do that. Because I know what my tax bill is on that amount of money that I convert. Well,
the solution here is effective tax planning, not reacting. And that's right. What the written retirement income plan will help you determine, ladies and gentlemen, how much is appropriate to do that proactive tax planning with, and how to systematically address and handle what is our largest known expense in retirement, taxation. And if you'd like to get that written retirement income plan and see how much to quantify the amount that potential Roth conversions could help you save or control of that lifetime tax liability. Pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns, CFP, a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, we do have some choice and options. We, in fact, can control taxation, not the tax rates across the board, but our specific taxation does have some elements that we can take control over.
Yeah, Peter, you're exactly right. We have the opportunity to do Roth conversions right now. We can also choose to fund a 401k Roth if you make too much money that you cannot do your plain vanilla Roth IRA, maybe a 401k. There's a lot of different options out there. What I would tell people is talk to your financial advisor, or better yet, give us a call. We'll take you through that process.
And if this conversation has been omitted or overlooked, ladies and gentlemen, it's a necessity. It is essential for your retirement success and confidence to address taxation into and throughout retirement. That's what the written retirement income plan is really all about, specific to your unique individual situation and how you would like to proactively address the question of taxation, one of our largest known expenses, if not the largest known expense in retirement. How to plan to control that? The written retirement income plan. Give Tim Stearns a call to get that put together. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Tim, we move on to the second of the three largest expenses in retirement, our largest potential expense, healthcare. This is a big one. I mean, this is the elephant in the room in many cases. That is the unknown that people worry about and yet still remains unaddressed.
Well, the average 65-year-old couple can expect to spend about $321,000 on Medicare premiums in their lifetime. You figure people are going to live to be 85 and 88 years old on average. I mean, that's a lot of Medicare premiums. Once you couple that with the copays and the deductibles and hearing, vision, and dental expenses, you're looking at well over $400,000 worth of expenses. So how do we, formulate that? And then lastly, if you, God forbid, have to go into long-term care, that's another expense. 7 out of 10 Americans are going to need it, and 9 out of 10 of us don't have that ability to have that insurance, because we've chosen not to, or we're going to self-insure. And you look at the costs in Chicagoland right now for long-term care, it's well over about $9,000 a month if you need a lot of care. So, and that's the average stay is just under 4 years. That's a lot of money that adds up that, could be very costly to people.
And Tim, that's in today's dollars. If we are on the verge of retirement, if we are 65, 70 and healthy, that cost of care is one of those items that is increasing at the most rapid rate. You've got some tools and calculators that can help people estimate what costs may be in today's dollars or down the road. If they want to look at age 75 or 85 or down the road 10 or 20 or 30 years, what are the potential or likely costs of care? These numbers are scary numbers. And here's the long and short of it is that we've got to plan and prepare for that today. That's the way to make this issue the most cost effective.
Exactly. I mean, and a lot of people bury their heads in the sand and hope for the best. I hope I don't need it, or better yet, I've run into a lot of baby boomers who say, well, my dad died of a heart attack. My mom hasn't used it. Knock on wood. She's doing great. But they've paid into it forever. So they have long-term care standalones. We are not big fans of that. We're fans of, some type of a hybrid life insurance policy that would help with some estate planning, some Secure Act, with the Secure Act where you have to drain your IRAs within 10 years. And then lastly, if you need it, and God forbid if you do, if you can't do two of your activities of daily living, the ability to actually draw down on the death benefit of a life insurance policy, tax-free, to pay for your care. And again, 7 out of 10 of us over the age of 60 will need this care.
Tim, we're hearing a lot about this kind of newer evolution in solutions for long-term care, these hybrid products. Mm-hmm. How do these work, and why do both consumers and individuals and couples and the insurance industry view this as a better way to address this issue?
Well, like I said, the old long-term care policies, which there's not many companies even in that arena anymore, it was use it or lose it. So if you didn't ever use it, you paid on all these premiums for years and years. And in a lot of cases, the companies that are still involved there increase the premiums on their clients and reduce the benefits.
And healthy individuals don't find that very attractive.
No, my gosh, no. So that's why I'm saying there's some really good bangs for your buck where you can get a cash value into an account. You can get a death benefit that would be tax-free to your heirs. And then lastly, it has long-term care benefits, living benefits that while you're still alive, you cannot do two of your activities of daily living, you could draw down on that. It's outstanding.
But healthy individuals, Tim, also oftentimes underestimate the likelihood that down the road they will need care, or underestimate the number of people who do, if they're one of the ones lucky enough. Hopefully we all are, but the number of people, the percentage that do need care is remarkably high. And so the insurance industry actually, once you get into covering the cost of care, realized that old style, the traditional long-term care insurance was actually underpriced, even though during our lifetimes, a lot of times we thought it was rather expensive.
Right. And that's why a lot of them have left the industry. And I get that, so there are better priced for both the insurance companies and the individuals that are purchasing these. The odds I don't like. 7 out of 10 Americans are going to need it, and 9 out of 10 of us don't have it. That's scary. That really is scary. So why would you not at least explore that to make sure that you have that covered? Plus, if you don't use it, you don't lose it. It would go to your heirs in the form of a tax-free death benefit versus your IRA goes to them and they have to drain it within 10 years per the Secure Act.
And then, Tim, you also mentioned self-insured, and that is terminology that I have heard before. Mm-hmm. However, to me, self-insured means that you're probably rather confident that you've got enough wealth, enough assets to not only last your own lifetime, but to pass on as a legacy. Mm-hmm. And even in that case, this kind of solution provides leverage for those assets. You are protecting the assets, essentially, that are providing you that confidence.
Right. That's a valid argument with some people. But if I know that I'm not going to use all my money, why wouldn't I not convert it for pennies on a dollar into a policy that I can leave to my kids with great benefits to it of tax-free money for pennies on a dollar? It just makes all the sense in the world. My wife and I have it. Most of my family members have it. It makes sense if you look at the numbers.
We're talking about your 3 biggest expenses in retirement and how to plan to control them. Number 1, taxes, our largest known expense. Number 2, healthcare cost, our largest potential expense. And you have to have careful planning for care expenses. There are several options available for how to approach this, to talk them through, to learn about them, to decide on which option and approach is best for your situation. That's what the Written Retirement Income Plan can help you determine, can help you narrow down the options and decide on the best, most optimal option for your situation. Tim Stearns, CFP, can walk you through that process and those conversations to make sure that you understand the implications of these expenses on your retirement assets, how to plan to control them, and minimize these potential expenses where possible. Give a call if you'd like to sit down with Tim, CFP, a certified financial planning professional, to construct that written retirement income plan, to understand the income, the investments, the taxes, healthcare, and legacy aspects of your plan. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, number 3 on the list. Usually it's called the silent thief, but I think we're hearing an awful lot from it right now. We're at least hearing an awful lot about it. The 3rd largest expense in retirement, inflation.
Well, yes, and it's roaring very loudly. What you're looking at is that if historically inflation was 3%, so you'd need your money to double every 24 years if you're in retirement. What we're finding is with it up over 8%, you'd need your money to double every 9 years, which is pretty scary. So when you're seeing those types of numbers, the more money you're going to buy you buy less goods, right? And that's what inflation does. And so the example we give in our class is that in 1976, you could buy 4 tires for $200. And now we're looking at, you can buy 4 tires for over $1,000. the supply chain and all this good stuff that's going on. It's terrible that you're looking at things that are way more expensive than people had planned. So what do you do with an income allocation plan? You make sure that you've taken into account inflation, and make sure that your head is on a swivel when it comes to that, because, the Fed is going to only be able to do so much. And we need to make sure that, you're taking into account inflation, the silent thief.
Tim, we've talked about the fact that your plan, your outcome is only as good as the assumptions that it is based on. And unfortunately, as we're going down this list of these largest expenses, I feel that a lot of assumptions paint the world with rose-colored glasses, give us all rainbows and pie in the sky. A lot of plans assume that taxes are going to be minimal or at least lower in retirement, that we're not going to incur healthcare expenses, that the market's always going to give us some positive linear rate of return, and that inflation is going to be a minimal factor. If I'm looking at those assumptions and then question them, well, what if these are wrong? Any of those assumptions being wrong are going to leave me in a worse financial condition than I expected to be in. When it comes to planning, I'd rather be on the other side of it and make assumptions with the plan that are not overly positive and optimistic, but instead rather pessimistic. And then if I am wrong about those, I'm in a better situation than I expected or anticipated being in.
Well, to your point, when I first got in the industry in 1994, we were assuming 10 to 12% in the stock market. As the last from January 2000 to May of 2022, the average was about 4.331, including dividends in the S&P 500. So to assume these numbers where people are talking 6, 8%, not 10 and 12 anymore, are just highly unrealistic. So when we do a financial plan for people, we use around 4% as the number. We'd rather underpromise, overperform, and take the most conservative approach to make sure that we don't realize at the age of 80 something years old that we didn't have enough money to retire. So that's the important thing, is to take it very conservatively.
Well, if that's the type of approach you'd like in your financial and retirement projections and plan, ladies and gentlemen, pick up the phone and give a call. Walk through the process of designing that written retirement income plan with Tim Stearns, CFP. A certified financial planning professional is going to be able to talk through the assumptions that your plan is based on, discuss whether or not they are realistic or can be relied on, make sure to troubleshoot the plan that you have, or construct and design that plan with your specific goals in mind. If you'd like to take advantage of that time, that opportunity for a complimentary review and retirement planning strategy session, pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns CFP a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Now, Tim, just for the time, the work alone of designing that written retirement income plan, we have seen alternative plans offered at $1,000, $2,000, several thousands of dollars. This is a complimentary service that you extend to the listeners of Protect and Grow so that they can have the confidence in making financial decisions moving forward.
Well, I feel like America, especially with the pullback in the market as well as inflation, needs a leg up, so we call it Retirement Rescue, and we're happy to help people to do an income allocation plan that gets them back on track, because a lot of the plans that people had have been derailed.
Specifically with this last one, Tim, inflation being that silent thief, inflation. During the process of constructing that retirement income plan, we have to work in options that will account for inflation. Many of the plans that you design, in fact, include pay raises throughout retirement, increases to our income bottom line to help offset and account for some inflation.
Exactly. And we're always cognizant of what's going on out there. Hopefully the inflation will calm down, but while it hasn't, the only place you can get that to stay up with inflation is equities, which, people are starting to get a little gun shy about that. So having an income allocation plan circumvents a lot of those problems that you come into in retirement. And we address all three of these big expenses that people have in retirement.
Well, again, if you would like to get that plan constructed, designed, implemented for you and your goals and your financial progress, that written retirement income plan, pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns, CFP, a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Tim, you make the process pretty pain-free, no cost, no obligation. It is a complimentary service, and folks are welcome to share as much or as little information as they feel comfortable in those first discussions. But obviously, these are big issues that must be addressed in order for us to have financial confidence.
And people are very cognizant of what's going on out there, that they need to sleep better at night. Have a plan. 1 out of 10 Americans don't have that, and we're going to help people get that done.
Again, if you would like to speak with a certified financial planning professional about your written retirement income plan, Tim Stearns, CFP, your resource here on the radio, ladies and gentlemen, for that protect and grow planning process, does make that available to you. No cost, no obligation. Just pick up the phone and give a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Tim, always a pleasure. Every time we have the opportunity to visit with you, some great information shared. Thank you for the perspective and guidance.
Thanks, Peter.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like this list of the 3 largest expenses in retirement, the outline of how to plan to address them, or if you'd like to construct your individual written retirement income plan, which will specifically address each of these items and more, pick up the phone now and give TJ Stearns Inc. and Tim Stearns CFP a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. We'll talk to you next time on Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns' full radio program on 890 WLS every Sunday at 11 a.m. and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.